All right, you guys, it's top 5 mistakes I see photographers and videographers making on their journey. So let's get right into it. So, topic number one is not double checking your equipment. I can say I'm guilty of this more often than I like to because I keep forgetting my battery packs. I keep forgetting some lightning equipment every now and again. And for one event that I really needed this for, I forgot my ND filter, which if you don't know, it's a neutral density filter. Long story short, sunglasses for your camera, makes a lot of the bright stuff dark, so that way you don't have to change your camera settings. Short and sweet. So make sure that you're double checking your equipment the night before, the day of, or even the hour before. Don't just rely on past experience and just knowing that you put stuff where you normally put it, because there's been time and time again where I assume that and I get to a venue and I don't have something that I'm looking for. So please make sure you're double checking your equipment, making sure you have everything you need to, making sure that you're checking ahead of time, and making sure that you have the equipment needed for the particular job in mind by ordering off Amazon or your other local retailers to ensure that you have everything you need to have that job completed effectively and quickly. So moving on to tip number two, we have not creating the same business practices across all different individuals. So basically, that was a lengthy way of just saying you're letting some people do some things one way and you're letting other people do it a different way. I'm guilty of this mainly in terms of payment. Normally, I meet new people, try to establish rapport. I'm just like, oh, I'll just get my money later. I won't go through my standard processes and make people go through my website, collecting my money up front and whatnot. Yeah, no, you can't do that because people really aren't on top of their business like they're supposed to be. And if you give people the position to take advantage of you, they will do so. So make sure you stay standard with your business practices. Make people sign contracts beforehand. Make people tell you the scope of work before you get to the event to avoid any confusion, any lapse of judgment, or just overall frustration with the venue and the head contact because they weren't on top of your stuff, or vice versa. Lastly, with that, make sure you get your payment. If you have a certain way that you get your payment, keep it standardized across all individuals you come across. Don't go one off and do different things for different people because you're trying to be nice or you're trying to establish rapport, or you're just trying to just collect it on the back end, because they will come back to bite you more and often than not, time and time again. So make sure you get that done. If you have a website generated where you're getting your payments, make them go through that. And if they have a problem with that, let them know your standard processes are what they are for a reason. Explain to them you don't have to chase people for their payment, and it's just a more professional way of doing things, and they should understand. And if not, that tells you everything that you need to know about them. All right, guys. So moving on to tip number three, you definitely need to make sure that you're practicing your craft. Like, get in those 10,000 hours. And I've said it before. I said it now, and I'm going to say it again. Get those 10,000 hours in. You're never going to be as good as you were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Your craft is what makes you the individual that you are. You can't get rusty, you can't get stale. You're only as good as your last job. So you need to make sure that when you don't have a job, you don't have that high profile gig, you don't have that celebrity influencer, endorsing your work that's going to set you off to the next level. You need to make sure that you're prepared for these opportunities. A good phrase I like to think about is you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Essentially what that means is you do all the work beforehand, you continue to keep doing the work, so that way when you get that big opportunity, you get that big client, you get that big recognition that you're looking for, you're more than well enough prepared to take it on and thrive through it. So make sure that you're doing that. Make sure you're putting those hours in and making sure that you're taking that downtime to continually learn and re-hone your craft. All right, so tip number four is knowing your editing suite. So there's too many people that use Lightroom, Photoshop, After Effects, Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut. Did I say Final Cut? Probably did. Anyways, all these different editing softwares people are using, people just don't know how to use them. Too many people are using presets, LUTs for video, stock footage. For photography, they're using preset packs and all these different plugins just to get a particular look that someone else does because it looks cool, but you really don't know what you're doing. You really need to take the time to understand your editing software, and one basic thing and really helpful thing that's going to come with that is learning your shortcuts. Shortcuts will save you 15, 20, even 30 minutes on any editing job by you just quickly knowing what stuff is, to quickly cut that out, quickly delete that, quickly replace this clip, quickly export this file, quickly save this as a PNG. All these different things that I just named, they have different shortcuts for them. And if you can learn those shortcuts, or even configure your editing software to set up shortcuts to help you optimize your workflow, you'll be that much better and that much more formidable when you're editing in your software, and you'll be much more likely to continue progressing and editing more work because you won't be doing it as long. So definitely keep that in mind. Definitely practice your editing software. And if you need tips and additional helps with this, all these additional softwares have individual help guides that have preset shortcuts within them. So if you just go within your direct editing software, each of them have a preset shortcuts library, which you can go and check, practice the shortcuts, hone them, recustomize them and plug them if they don't fit your needs, but definitely use shortcuts in your workflow. For the last tip, just going to keep it really basic on this one. It's just being lazy. Like, this is the thing that I struggle with the most myself. Like, if I don't have a job that I'm doing, or if I'm not getting what I really want in the time frame that I'm looking for, sometimes I get discouraged. Sometimes I get a little bit lazy and I just don't feel like doing anything. Like, you have to really push through that time period. Like, you really have to keep creating stuff, no matter what you're doing, what type of creator you are, videographer, photographer, artist, dancer, model, singer, songwriter, Ozzy Osbourne, anybody else. You got to make sure that you keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, because only you can be an advocate for yourself. What I mean by that is that you got to be the best advocate for yourself, because nobody's going to work as hard for you but you. Nobody's going to give you the most credit that you deserve for yourself but you, and nobody's going to be harder on you than you. So you have to make sure that you are getting up, doing the work, optimizing what you need to, going out, creating that extra video, painting that extra painting, singing that extra song, and reaching out to people in your network and building a great foundation with them to ensure that you have that accountability for yourself as well as with your peers. By doing that, you'll make yourself so much more formidable against anybody else that you come across, whether it be, a rival competitor that you're going with. You'll make yourself just a better version of yourself, because it's always you versus you at the end of the day. So you got to make sure that you're putting in the inputs to get what you want as an output. So I'll leave it at that. Those are my quick 5 mistakes that I see people having. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe in the video to join me in the journey. I'm going to take my last advice and stop being lazy and try to make more and more of these long form content videos as opposed to just shorts, just so that way I can give you guys more information and probably do a little bit more educational tutorials and various different vlogging stuff out here. So that's all for me. So talk to you guys later. Peace.